Hello, students. It's Miss Bryson. We are back together. This time we're going to talk about a new topic. Last time when we were together, we focused on context clues and how to identify the meaning of unfamiliar words. This time we're going to look at another skill that I know many students may tend to struggle with, and that's identifying the main idea, RI 3.2 or RL 3, RI 3.2. Is a skill that many students tend to struggle with. So we're going to focus on identifying the main idea and the key details. So let's get started. So our objective for this lesson today is I can determine the main idea of a text, recount the key details, and explain how they support the main idea. So what you need to know to be successful with this skill, that will be our nouns. We need to know what the main idea is, which is what the text is mostly about. We also need to know what key details are, and those are the sentences that support or prove or back up the main idea. We also need to know what it means to support the main idea. When you support the main idea, that means that they help the main idea or help to prove that it's true. How you show what you know, that's when we're going to use our verbs. We're going to determine, which means to figure out or find out. We're also going to recount. And in this instance, to recount the details means to review them, to go back over those details. And we're going to also explain how those key details help support the main or back up the main idea. And to explain something means to give information or tell more about a topic. Now, just to introduce some of the key vocabulary words that we're going to talk about in this lesson. First, main idea, and that is the most important point the author is trying to make. Authors use supporting details to aid or help or support the main idea. And supporting details are just statements that help to explain or prove the author's point. When you think about main idea and key details, you can think about it like an ice cream cone. Think of the main idea as the cone, which is the most important point. And think of the supporting details as the ice cream scoops. So just like an ice cream cone, a main idea is usually, not always, but usually stated first and the supporting details to follow. But this is not always the case though. Now, one thing that many students tend to mix up, and that is trying to decipher between the main idea and the topic. Those are two different things. So we're going to kind of touch on that just a little bit so we can make sure that you understand the difference between the two. So for example, the topic is a general, broad subject, while the main idea is just the most important point that the author is trying to bring across in whatever the writing is. So here's some examples to look at the difference between the two. So for example, a topic, if the topic is about bears, that's the overall topic. But a main idea about what that author is trying to get across about bears could be that there are many different types of bears. Another topic, middle school. Could be a very broad topic, but the main idea of this particular article might be that middle school is different from elementary school. One last example, the overall topic could be about computers, but a main idea, a most important point about the article about computers could be that computers help people do things faster than they otherwise could. So just remember, when you're trying to decipher between the main idea and topic is broad, and main idea is on what the most important point is that the author is trying to get across about whatever that topic is. So let's practice identifying the main idea and the key details. 1, 2, 3, all eyes on me. And let's go. All right, so example number 1. Jackson loves basketball. He watches it on TV and even plays on his school basketball team. The first thing Jackson does when he gets home from school is change into his basketball jersey and grab his basketball. He is always asking his dad to take him to the park to play. So the question asks, what is the main idea of this paragraph? So now let me look at it. When I think about main idea, a clue that I always say that's good to use when you're trying to figure out the main idea, ask yourself, was it all about? And then look at the answer choices that they give you. So let's look at these choices. A, was it all about that Jackson loves basketball? Now, when I go back into the text, I noticed that it did talk about that he likes to watch it on TV. He plays on his school basketball team. As soon as he gets home every day from school, he changes into his basketball jersey and grabs his basketball. So it mostly did talk about him loving basketball. But I'm going to check my other two answer choices just to be sure. B, was it all about basketball is fun to play? That might be true, but this whole paragraph was not all about why basketball is fun to play, so I can definitely eliminate B. C, Jackson wears jerseys. Now, if you read the text with me, you did see that it talked about, I did see that it talked about Jackson wearing basketball jerseys, but this text was not mostly all about Jackson wearing basketball jerseys. So the best answer choice for this main idea would definitely have to be A. All right, let's try a one a little bit more challenging, because this one is going to have a part A, part B with it in just a second. Eggs are more than just something to eat for breakfast. You may have heard that eggs are rich in protein. The protein in eggs are actually very similar to the protein found in hair. So raw eggs make excellent hair conditioner. Did you know that eggs are rich in vitamin A too? That makes them a great lotion as well. Just whisk some egg yolks in a bit of water and you're all set to moisturize your skin. Finally, if you ever find yourself working on a project and you run out of glue, head to your refrigerator. Egg whites are quite sticky when they dry, so they can be used to glue paper. Eggs have many uses, which make them a handy item to always have in your home. Question says, what is the main idea of this passage? Now, when I think about main idea again, I'm looking at what it is mostly about. So now when I look at my answer choices, I'm going to say, was it all about? And I'm going to read each answer choice and see which one makes the most sense, okay? A, was it all about eggs are rich in protein and vitamin A? Now, it did mention that in the text. However, this whole passage was not all about eggs being rich in protein and vitamin A. So I'm definitely going to have to eliminate A as my answer choice. B, eggs, was it all about how eggs have many uses? Now, when I look at it, I did see that it gave me different examples of that eggs have many uses. It talked about how eggs could be used as a hair conditioner, how it could be used as a lotion, and even as glue to glue paper. So I'm going to question B, but I'm always going to check all of my answer choices. Let's check C. Was it all about people should always have eggs in their refrigerator? It did not talk all about why people should have eggs in their refrigerator, so I can eliminate C as an answer. D, was it all about eggs are a breakfast item enjoyed by many people? Now, in the beginning of the text, the very first sentence did say that it wasn't just something to eat for breakfast. So it did talk about how people eat them for breakfast, but this whole text was not all about how eggs are a breakfast item that is enjoyed by many people. So it was not all completely about that, but the best answer choice has to be answer choice B. Now, watch this. Part B says, which details support the answer you chose to part A? Choose all that apply. Now, my part A answer was that eggs have many uses. My focus area is that I'm going to focus on eggs and many uses, okay? What I tell my students to make sure that they underline the main words in part A to find a connection with your part B answer choices. So eggs, many uses. So now I'm going to look for the answer choices that have something to do with how eggs are used. Now, the last part of this question says choose all that apply. So when I see that, that lets me know that that's my biggest clue to let me know that there is more than one what. And if you said answer, then you are correct. So let's check A. We're looking for the uses of eggs. A says eggs can be used as hair conditioner. Now, that does talk about one way that eggs can be used, and that was found in the passage. My clue words in answer choice A is the word used and hair conditioner. Those will be the words that I will underline. Eggs, used, hair conditioner. So I'm going to question A because I'm looking for maybe possibly more than one answer. B, eggs can be used to glue paper. Now in the text, they did talk about that as well. And I also see clue words to help make that connection to my part A answer. Eggs, used, glue paper. So part A, answer choice A, I'm going to question. Answer choice B, I'm going to question. Let's keep going and see if we have any more. C, you may have heard that eggs are rich in protein. Now, it did talk about that in the text, but nothing in here lets me know how eggs are being used. So I definitely can eliminate C as an answer choice. D, eggs are rich in vitamin A too. Now, that was mentioned in the text as well, but that does not support or explain or prove how eggs have many uses. So I'm going to eliminate D. E, eggs can be used as a skin moisturizer. Again, I see clue words. Eggs, used, skin moisturizer. So the answer choices that I'm going to go with for this one, they have to be A, B, and E. Now we're going to try a few together. Now I'm going to give you one that just focuses on the main idea, and then we're going to work on one that has the main idea, and then we find a part B answer choice that has to do with your supporting details. Okay, let's look at it together. Luke's room was a mess. There were toy cars on the floor. There were baseball cards by the door. There were pants and shirts on the bed. Oh, goodness, Luke. Luke's dad said, "This room is a pig pen. Clean it up now." Dad was not happy. And we know when we hear pig pen, he doesn't actually mean or literally mean that it was a pig pen. That's just a figurative way of saying that his room was really messy. All right, so now let's look at your answer choices to figure out what the main idea is. A says Luke likes baseball. Was this all about, ask yourself, was this all about Luke likes baseball? Now, when I look back at the text, did they mention baseball at all? No. So definitely A is one that we can eliminate. Okay, let's check B. Luke's dad was angry. Now, it did look like Dad was not happy because it did say that in the text. He did look like with the exclamation marks, looks like Dad was yelling, showing excitement or strong emotion when he said that this room was a pig pen and to clean it up now. But it wasn't mostly all about Dad being angry. So I'm going to eliminate B. Let's check C. Was it all about Luke needs to clean his room? Do you think that's what the main idea may have been? Now, if we were to look at all three of those choices, I would definitely say that C would be the best answer choice to go with. And I think that you would agree. All right, now we're gonna push it a little more. All right, here we go. Chicago is home to a number of well-known sports teams. It has 2 Major League Baseball teams. Most people have heard of the Chicago Cubs and the Chicago White Sox. It also has 1 National Football League team. Who hasn't heard of the Chicago Bears? The National Basketball Association is accounted for too, with the Chicago Bulls. Finally, the National Hockey League cannot be forgotten. The Chicago Blackhawks are the hockey team of the Windy City in America's heartland. So it looks like Chicago has a sports team for every major sport that it is. But let's see what the main idea of this passage was mostly all about. All right, so let's look at A together. Was it all about professional sports leagues like Chicago? It wasn't really mainly focusing on professional sports leagues like Chicago. It wasn't talking about how they liked Chicago. It just listed different teams that we will find in Chicago. So I'm going to definitely eliminate. Okay. Was it all about the NFL, NBA, and NHL need another team in Chicago? It did not mostly talk about them needing another team. Matter of fact, it didn't talk about them needing a team at all. So that definitely wouldn't be the main idea. So B also can be eliminated. C, Chicago has many well-known professional sport teams. Was it all about how Chicago has many well-known professional sports teams? Go back and look at this text. We notice that there is a sports team that they talk about for baseball they have there, for football that they have there, for basketball, and they have a major sports team for hockey. All of the sports teams are covered in Chicago. So I'm going to question C, and let's check D to be sure. Was it all about how Chicago has many sports teams named after animals? Let's check that to verify. Now, when we look back at this text, it did not mostly focus on how many of their sports teams are named after animals. It didn't even mention that actually. So the one that I think would be the best choice, and I think that you would probably agree, would be answer choice C. Now, here's our part B for this one. Which two sentences support the answer you chose to part A? Now, how many answers should we have for this one? Show me with your fingers. 2. A lot of students miss over that because it's not in bold, it's not underlined. But if you read carefully and circle keywords in your questions, you'll always be able to catch those little words like 2 and choose all that apply. All right, so for our part A answer, we chose Chicago has many well-known professional teams. Now we need 2 supporting details that prove that Chicago has many well-known professional sport teams. So let's look at our choices. A says, the Cubs and the White Sox are well-known teams from Chicago. So that does talk about how they have well-known professional sports teams. So let's question A and let's keep going because we have 2 answers to find. B, basketball is the best sport to play. Now that may possibly even be true to some people. That may be their opinion. However, that wasn't mentioned in the text, and it does not support our main idea of how Chicago has many well-known professional sports teams. So we can eliminate B. Let's check C. People that live in Chicago love sports. And again, that may be very well true, right? But 1, it wasn't mentioned in the text. And 2, it does not support or help explain our main idea. So we can eliminate that one. D, Chicago is called the Windy City, which is true. That one actually was mentioned in the text. However, it does not support or help explain our main idea about how Chicago has many well-known professional sport teams. So D is eliminated as well. Let's check E. The Bulls are a well-known NBA team from Chicago. So let's check back to our part A. Chicago has many well-known professional sports teams. And E talks about how the Bulls are a well-known NBA team from Chicago. So that helps to explain or prove that our main idea is true. That helps to support it. So our answer choices for part B, I think we both can agree, or I can agree, that it should be A and E. Now, you are going to try a few on your own. So I'm going to set the timer, and I'm going to give you time to read, and then we're going to come back together and discuss the answers. All right, so I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes for you to read this little short paragraph, and I need you to identify for me the main idea. And here we go. Read that passage. Have about 50 more seconds, and then we're going to discuss it. Two and one. All right. So this story talks about, sorry. Here we go. This says the amusement park was busy with kids and their families having a good time. There was laughter and screams of delight. Kids were smiling and waiting in the long lines for the rides. They raised their hands in joy as the ride went up and down. Okay, so the question asked, what was the main idea? So let's look at your choices. A says, was it all about how amusement parks are busy places? So lots of things were going on at this amusement park. It was busy with kids and their families having a good time. There was laughter and screams of delight. The kids were smiling and waiting in long lines for rides. They were raising their hands in joy as the rides went up and down. So that's lots of things that are doing to show how this park is a busy place. So question A, let's check B. Roller coasters are fun, which was it all about how roller coasters are fun. Now, that may be possibly true, but that's not what this passage was mostly all about. Let's check C. The lines for the rides were long. Now, it did talk about that they were waiting in long lines. However, you have to ask yourself, was this whole passage all about how the lines for the rides were long? And if you answer that, the answer should be no. And so your answer for this one, the main idea, most important point, what was it mostly about, should have been A. All right, go ahead and look at this next one. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes as well. No. 1 minute, 37 seconds. Timer stop, but you have a little while longer. Okay, let's go ahead and look at it. It says there are many kinds of bait that people use when they decide to go fishing. Some people choose to use worms or night crawlers. Others are fond of minnows, which are very small fish that larger fish will be attracted to. Some people do not like to use live bait. They opt to use artificial bait. So if it's not live and it's artificial, that means not real or fake, right? Like lures and spinners. Fish are often attracted to the colors and movement of artificial baits. I wonder if you noticed how in this paragraph it used context clues that we talked about in our last video. So, for example, fond of minnows, and then it gives you the actual definition, very small fish. Then it also talked about artificial bait, and it gave you some examples, lures and spinners. Okay, so anything you read, there will always be context clues. All right, now back to what we're focusing on today, which is main idea and key details. Now let's ask ourselves, A, was it all about There are many options for fishing bait. Now, it did talk about how that some people use artificial bait, some people use different kinds of bait. So this one that talks about how there are many options. So let's question A, but let's check the rest to be sure. B, artificial bait isn't as effective as live bait. Now, was it all about that? The answer would be no. So the answer would be no. Because it didn't really give us any information to talk about why artificial bait is not as effective as live bait. So I'm going to eliminate B. Let's check C. Live bait is the best choice. Live bait is the best choice. So I'm going to look at C. Live bait is the best choice. It did not give us any information about why live bait will be the best choice. It wasn't mostly focused on why live bait should be the best choice. So we're going to go ahead and eliminate C. Let's check answer choice D. Fish are attracted to bait. Which is true. However, that's not what this text mostly was all about. So we're going to eliminate D. And hopefully, drum roll please, you chose A as your answer, because that is what this text was mostly about, how there are many different kinds of options for fish to use as bait for fish. Now, you are going to try a part B question on your own. Says, which two sentences support the answer you chose to part A? How many answer choices do you think you should have for this one? Show me with your fingers. 2. You should have 2 answers for this one. So now, go ahead and look at your answers. I'm going to give you a few minutes to look at it. And then we're going to come back together. Okay, let's look at these two. All right, so remember our main idea is that there are many options for choosing bait. So my keywords that I'm going to focus on are many options, fishing bait. Okay, so there are many options for fishing bait. My keywords are main options, fishing bait. Let's look at choice A. Fishing is lots of fun, which may be true, but that does not support that there are many options for bait. So I'm going to eliminate A. B. Minnows are one choice for fishing bait. So that looks like it would be considered an option. So I'm going to question B. C. Some people choose to use artificial bait like lures and spinners. Now, that also looks like it gives me another example of an option for fishing bait. So I'm going to question C. But I'm going to check D and E to be sure before I choose those answers. D, it is important to use bait when fishing. That may be true, but it does not support our main idea, which is there are many options for fishing bait. All right, and then let's check E. So I'm going to eliminate D. Let's check E. Fish are often attracted to different kinds of bait, which may possibly be true. However, it does not support or help explain our main idea about there being many options for fishing bait. So the 2 answer choices that I hope you went with are B and C. All right, so before we end, let's recap a few things that I want you to remember. First, the main idea of the text is what the text is mostly about. Second, the key details of the text support or prove your main idea. So it cannot be a supporting detail if it has nothing to do with what your main idea is about, okay? Third, sometimes the main idea can be found at the beginning of the text, but not always. Fourth, When you look for the main idea and you have choices, ask yourself when you're looking at your choices, was it all about? And find the one answer that answers the question of what that text is mostly about. And then last, topic versus main idea. Topic is broad, it's the general subject. For example, middle school. And then main idea is what that topic is mostly about. So, for example, if the article about middle school is about how middle school is different from elementary school, that could be your main idea. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time.